What if I told you that in the final stretch before WWE's biggest summer spectacle, the one man carrying the weight of a legacy may have just taken his last step? Cameras flashed. Nurses turned away. And all the noise of the outside world suddenly faded when one figure, head down, hoodie up, slowly hobbled out of a Manhattan hospital in broad daylight. Paparazzi caught him mid-stride. Crutches under his arms. Left leg tightly wrapped. No smile. No wave. Just silence. A silence that now echoes through the corridors of WWE. That man was Seth Rollins, and as of this moment, nothing is certain anymore. There is no official diagnosis yet, no statement from WWE, no confirmation from his doctors. Only one truth remains: Seth Rollins has been hurt. Badly. And as the world turns its eyes to WWE Raw tonight, speculation has consumed the locker room, the fans, and the future of SummerSlam 2025. This is the unraveling no one saw coming. According to multiple sources within WWE, Rollins sustained the injury during a dark segment following last week's episode of Raw. It wasn't televised. No crowd footage has surfaced. Just whispers. And now, fear. One insider said, "You could tell something was wrong instantly. It was the way he landed. The way he didn't get back up." Another claimed Rollins insisted on walking backstage without help, an act of defiance, not strength. That moment of pride may have cost him more than he realized. But this isn't just about an injury. It's about timing. About legacy. About how one of the greatest wrestlers of this generation, possibly of all time, now finds himself staring down an uncertain future, at the worst possible moment, because in just a few weeks, the lights of SummerSlam 2025 were supposed to shine brightest on him. Now, they might not shine on him at all. This is not Seth Rollins' first injury. And that's part of what makes this so haunting. He's fought back before. The 2015 ACL tear. The meniscus surgery. The rehab. The slow return. The doubts. The critics. He silenced them all, one stomp, one title, one reinvention at a time. But this time, it feels different, because this time, the stakes are higher. Not just for Seth, but for WWE as a whole. In the past year, Rollins has become the axis around which Monday Night Raw spins. He's the workhorse champion. The architect turned messiah turned visionary. He is the heartbeat of a brand trying to evolve past part-timers and nostalgia acts. A constant in a world of variables. And now? That heartbeat has been disrupted. Doctors remain tight-lipped. WWE has offered no update. But we're told a diagnosis is expected in the coming days. And the truth is simple: if the injury is severe, Seth Rollins is out of SummerSlam. Maybe longer. The consequences of that are seismic. WWE's creative direction leading into SummerSlam was reportedly being built around a main event involving Rollins, CM Punk, and possibly even Roman Reigns. A generational clash. A coronation. A passing of the torch, or a brutal end to a rivalry. But now, every segment, every promo, every plan hangs in limbo. Backstage, the atmosphere is tense. Several superstars have been spotted arriving to tonight's Raw in Boston looking visibly shaken. One producer, speaking anonymously, said, "You can hear it in the halls, no one's saying it directly, but everyone's scared. If Seth's out, everything changes." But fear doesn't come from creative chaos alone. It comes from watching a man who has poured every fiber of his being into this industry, into this company, now forced to pause. Or worse, stop. Rollins has never been just another name on the roster. He's been the bridge between eras. The man who carried the company through injuries, departures, and scandal. The man who wrestled with a fractured back and kept smiling through it. And now? That smile is gone. Eyewitnesses say Rollins didn't look like a man defeated. He looked like a man doing everything he could to hold it together. Hospital staff described him as gracious but distant. Paparazzi noted he kept his head down, refusing to acknowledge questions shouted at him. A WWE official reportedly met him outside the building and drove him away. The only trace he left behind were the photographs, and in those still frames, 1,000 stories are unfolding. What happens when your body can't cash the checks your spirit writes? What happens when everything you've worked for, all the momentum, the storylines, the dreams, hang by a thread no thicker than a knee ligament? What happens when the clock was counting down to your defining moment, and suddenly, it might be counting you out? The irony is cruel. Just weeks ago, Rollins cut a promo about sacrifice. About pain. About how being champion meant walking through fire. The audience erupted. But now, that fire feels less metaphorical and more literal, because pain isn't a promo anymore. It's real. And it's threatening to burn everything he built. WWE officials are scrambling behind the scenes. Several matches penciled for SummerSlam may need to be reworked. Rollins was scheduled for promotional appearances, interviews, and a featured ESPN magazine cover shoot celebrating 10 years of the architect. All now on indefinite hold, but the bigger concern isn't commercial. It's personal. This injury, if confirmed to be a fracture, could sideline Rollins for months. At best, a sprain, and he could return within 4 to 6 weeks. At worst, a fracture or ligament tear means surgery. Rehab. 9 months, maybe more. And at 39 years old, with 2 children and a legacy already cemented, the question whispers louder than ever, is this the beginning of the end? Seth Rollins has always pushed his body beyond limits. In an era where many play it safe, he risks everything, every match. And he's done so with one singular goal, to be remembered. Not just as a great champion, but as the greatest to ever lace up boots. But now, the boots are off. The knee is braced. The clock is ticking. And the arena he once ruled feels quieter. For his wife, Becky Lynch, the silence must be deafening. Sources close to the couple say she's been by his side since the injury. Canceling appearances. Rearranging schedules. Protecting their children from headlines they're too young to understand. One friend said, she's being the storm shelter right now. Letting him fall apart behind closed doors, because that's what love does. And behind those doors, away from the chants and the pyro and the cameras, is a man confronting something darker than pain, doubt. What if the comeback never comes? What if this time, the ring moves on without him? What if the thing that defined him for so long becomes the thing that haunts him the most? The fear isn't just that Seth Rollins is hurt. The fear is that Seth Rollins might not be the same again. And in an industry that feeds on momentum, that fear is louder than ever. But here's what we know, Seth Rollins is expected to appear on Raw tonight. Maybe not to wrestle. Maybe not to walk. But to speak, and when he does, the world will listen, because tonight isn't just another promo. It's a reckoning. Will he announce his withdrawal from SummerSlam? Will he promise a comeback? Or will he break down, as so many fear, under the weight of what's been taken from him? For now, the only thing we see is a man, on crutches, leaving a hospital, and walking directly into the unknown. But this isn't the end. It might just be the beginning of a new chapter. Point 1, where every step forward comes with pain. One where every victory feels hard-earned. One where redemption isn't handed out in championship belts, but in the simple, silent act of not giving up. And as the lights rise over Raw tonight, a question lingers in the air. What if this is Seth Rollins' last dance? Only time will tell, but make no mistake. The entire wrestling world is holding its breath for Seth. For his legacy. For what comes next, and for a man who gave everything to the ring, and may now be forced to walk away from it. And as the clock ticks toward Monday Night Raw, the noise outside the ring has never been louder, yet the man at the center of it all remains quiet. Seth Rollins, the architect, the visionary, the world heavyweight champion, has made a career out of speaking with fire. But now, in the silence that follows injury, every step he takes with those crutches feels like a wordless confession. Not of weakness, but of humanity. Backstage, production crews are making last-minute changes. The graphics team, once scheduled to showcase the SummerSlam main event poster featuring Rollins, Punk, and potentially Roman Reigns, has pulled the visual. New graphics are being prepared, contingency plans. Producers are rewriting segments in hushed tones. Nobody wants to say it out loud, but the fear is clear. Tonight might be more than an update. It might be a goodbye. One WWE executive told a reporter off the record, "If Seth can't go, we're in uncharted waters. It's not just a spot on the card, it's the centerpiece of the whole damn show." And that's no exaggeration. SummerSlam 2025 wasn't just supposed to be a pay-per-view. It was supposed to be a milestone. A crossroads for the new generation of WWE storytelling. And Seth Rollins was supposed to stand in the middle of that road, proud, powerful, and unbreakable. Now, that road might go on without him, but it's not just about booking or belts. It's about the long journey it took to get here. Rollins didn't get handed this legacy. He built it. From dusty gymnasiums in Iowa to main eventing WrestleMania. From indie darling to NXT trailblazer. From Shield enforcer to solo icon. Every scar, every knee brace, every hour in physical therapy, it all led to this moment. And that's what makes this potential derailment feel so cruel. So unjust. Because no one has sacrificed more for this company in the last decade than Seth Rollins, and now, for the second time in his career, the same body that carried him to greatness might be forcing him to stop. Insiders say tonight's Raw will open with a spotlight. A slow, solemn walk to the ring. No entrance music. No fireworks. Just the sound of crutches against the ramp and thousands of fans holding their breath. What will he say? Sources close to the situation suggest that Rollins has been battling behind the scenes to downplay the severity of the injury. He wants to keep hope alive, not just for the fans, but for himself. He reportedly told a close friend, "Don't count me out yet. They've done that before. And I came back stronger." But hope can be a dangerous thing when your body says otherwise, and doctors are reportedly urging caution. Preliminary scans hint at a fracture. Possibly ligament involvement. And if that's the case, then every step Rollins takes right now may be doing more harm than good. Becky Lynch, usually active on social media, has gone dark. She's cancelled a scheduled interview with ESPN. Close friends say she's redirecting everything right now, to family, to Seth. One source said, "She's been through this before. But this time, the stakes are different. They're older. The kids are older. And Seth's looking at legacy now, not just recovery." That word, legacy, looms large because even if Rollins never wrestles another match, he's already written a Hall of Fame career. Multiple-time world champion. Shield founder. Grand Slam winner. Innovator. Survivor. But for a man like Seth, legacy isn't built on titles. It's built on moments. On matches. On being there when the company needs him most, and that's the weight pressing on him now. WWE is reportedly considering multiple paths forward. If Rollins is cleared to appear at SummerSlam but not wrestle, they may write an angle to write him off TV. Either with a staged backstage attack or a medical emergency storyline. Another possibility being floated is a non-physical role, Rollins appearing as a special guest enforcer or ringside presence. A symbolic passing of the torch, perhaps to Punk, or to a rising star. But the most likely outcome, a formal announcement tonight that Seth Rollins will be forced out of action for the foreseeable future, and miss SummerSlam 2025. What that means for the World Heavyweight Championship is still being debated. One creative source confirmed that Triple H and top brass were seen in closed-door meetings until after midnight last night. Emergency brainstorming. Names being thrown around. One possibility? A tournament. Another? Stripping Rollins of the title and holding a battle royal at SummerSlam. But no decision has been finalized because the emotional temperature backstage right now isn't strategic, it's sad. Raw superstars have spoken off-camera, describing the locker room as hollow and off-balance. One talent said, "He's the glue. If he's out, we're all feeling it." Fans, too, are reacting with an outpouring of support. On Twitter, the hashtag #ThankYouSeth has started trending. Tributes are pouring in, from fellow wrestlers, podcasters, and even fans who remember seeing him wrestle in bingo halls before NXT. It's not just nostalgia, it's fear. Fear that they've seen his last great moment, and didn't even know it, but the truth is, Seth Rollins isn't the kind of man to go quietly. Whatever happens tonight, be it a speech, a statement, or an emotional farewell, he will likely do what he always has, tell the truth, and the truth is messy because this isn't just about physical injury. It's about psychological trauma. It's about a man who has carried the company during its hardest years now facing his own hardest one. It's about identity. Who is Seth Rollins if he can't be in the ring? Is he still the visionary? The architect? The man who burned it down? If the fire has gone out, those closest to him say the question is haunting him. He's been seen journaling backstage. Quietly stepping into empty rings during the day, not to train, but to sit. To remember. To process. One crew member described seeing him stand in the middle of the ring at 2 p.m., lights off, no music, and just stare into the crowd seats. Not moving. Not speaking. Just standing. As if trying to etch that image into his mind. In case tonight is his last night for a while, and for WWE fans who have followed his journey from the Shield to solo stardom, that silence is deafening. It's one thing to watch a man fall in battle. It's another to watch him quietly retreat from the war, but even in retreat, Seth Rollins is making a statement that no matter the outcome, his love for this business will never fracture. He may be broken right now, but the man is still whole. The arena is full. The production lights are on. The entrance ramp waits, and in just a few minutes, Seth Rollins will walk, or limp, out to that ring, crutches and all, to say what needs to be said, not as a character, not as a champion, but as a man. A man staring down pain, uncertainty, and perhaps the beginning of his final act. Will this be the moment he relinquishes the title? Will he vow to return, or will he say goodbye? The WWE Universe is holding its breath, and as Rollins walks those final few steps toward the microphone, toward the spotlight, toward truth, we're all asking the same question: is this the end of an era? Or the start of a new one? Only he can answer that. But tonight, we'll listen every word. Every pause. Every tear, because whether he's in the ring or watching from afar, Seth Rollins remains the soul of WWE, and no injury, no matter how deep, can take that away. The arena darkens. The crowd murmurs, unsure of what to expect. And then, without music, without pyro, without spectacle, just the soft hum of reality. The curtain parts, and out steps Seth Rollins, crutches under his arms. Knee still heavily braced. A WWE t-shirt stretched across his chest. His face a portrait of restraint, lips tight, jaw clenched, eyes glassy but focused. There is no flamboyance here. No spinning arms. No exaggerated laughs, just a man, just Seth. He limps slowly down the ramp. Not toward a title defense, not toward a rival waiting in the ring, but toward a microphone. And in that moment, the crowd doesn't cheer. They rise. A standing ovation. Not out of celebration, but out of respect. They know what this is. They feel it. He steps through the ropes, one crutch at a time, and the silence overtakes the building like a wave. The announcers stop speaking. Cameras zoom in. The world leans in. Seth takes a breath, and then he speaks. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. 6 words. That's all it takes to break hearts. He doesn't cry. But his voice trembles. You all know me. You've watched me. From day one. From the Shield to Mania. From cash-ins to injuries. From championships to this. He gestures downward, toward the crutch. A visible symbol of fragility, something so alien for a man we've always known as invincible. I've made a career out of bouncing back. I tore my knee once before. I came back stronger. I broke my back, and I still walked into that ring with everything I had. But this one might be different. The crowd murmurs again. A chant starts in the back rows. Thank you, Seth. It spreads. Builds. Consumes the silence. And for a moment, Rollins looks away. Not because he's ignoring them, but because he's trying not to lose control. I've been to the doctors, he continues. We've done the scans. We've taken the tests. And we're still waiting on a full diagnosis. But what we know for sure is that this knee isn't gonna make it to SummerSlam. There it is, the heartbreak in one sentence, the crowd gasps. Some fans put their hands over their mouths. Others just shake their heads. SummerSlam was supposed to be Rollins' proving ground. Now it's a finish line he won't cross. I wanted to wait until we had all the answers, he says. I wanted to walk out here and tell you all, don't worry, I'll be ready. But I can't lie to you. He pauses. You can hear someone in the front row whisper, we love you. He hears it. I love you too, he says, nodding. I love every single one of you who believed in me, who still believes in me. And that's why this hurts so damn much. He raises the World Heavyweight Championship slowly with one hand. The crowd erupts. It's symbolic now. Not a title of dominance. But a memory of the climb. I fought for this. Every week. Every bump. Every promo. Every match. This isn't just gold. It's pain. It's sacrifice. And it's everything I ever wanted. He lowers the title. Looks down at it, but I can't defend it. Not right now. Not at SummerSlam. Not the way it deserves. And with that, he places the belt on the canvas. The crowd goes silent again, because they know. That gesture says everything. I'm not relinquishing this title, yet, he says, surprising everyone. But I've spoken to Triple H. I've spoken to the board. And they're gonna make a decision based on my scans in the next few days. Whether it's a tournament, a new match, a crowning at SummerSlam. I support it. Because this championship belongs in that ring. Not in rehab. It's the most selfless moment of his career. And maybe, the most heartbreaking. I don't know how long I'll be out. Could be weeks. Could be months. Hell, it could be longer. But I want you to know this, every single one of you, I'll be back. The crowd finally erupts. Seth. 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 I've come back before. I've risen from worse. And I promise you, when I walk down that ramp again, it won't be with crutches. It'll be with fire. Because I don't just fight for titles. I fight for legacy. He looks up now, directly into the hard camera, and legacy never breaks. The arena loses it. People are standing. Crying. Chanting his name like it's a hymn, and then, another theme hits. CM Punk. The camera cuts to the stage. Punk walks out, slow, cautious. There's no smugness. No sarcasm. Just a look of shared understanding. The two men lock eyes. For months, they've circled each other like predators. Teased war. Baited fate. Now, fate has spoken. Punk walks to the ring and picks up the championship Rollins left on the mat. The crowd stirs, unsure. Is this disrespect? Is this a challenge? Or is this tribute? Punk looks at the belt. Then at Seth, and then, he hands it back to him. Rollins looks surprised. Moved. I'm not taking it like this, Punk says, microphone in hand. Not like this. The crowd roars in approval. It's a rare moment of purity in WWE, a rivalry paused for honor. When you come back, Punk adds, we'll finish what we started. But until then, you heal. We'll keep the fire burning. And with that, Punk nods once. Turns. Walks away, and Seth Rollins is left standing, on crutches, belt in hand, legacy intact. For now, backstage, WWE executives exhale. It wasn't the segment they planned. But it was the one the company needed, because what happened tonight wasn't just about injury. It was about transition. The passing of moments. The redefining of icons, and now, the real journey begins. Rollins has returned to the shadows. Likely on his way to more tests. More consultations. More sleepless nights wondering whether his body will do what it once did without hesitation. But one thing is certain, he will not give up. In the weeks to come, updates will trickle in. Statements. Timetables. Rumors, but for the fans, they'll remember this night not as the end, but as a promise. A promise that no matter how broken he feels, Seth Rollins will rise, because pain can break the body but it never breaks the soul, and as SummerSlam approaches, the fire he lit will burn on. I and the echoes of every Seth chant, I and every match booked in his absence, I and the silence left behind by a man whose voice once shook arenas. This is not goodbye, this is just the pause between chapters, and when the next one begins, whether it's in weeks, months, or years, Seth Rollins won't be walking into the ring, he'll be running. SummerSlam came and went. But something was missing. The pyro exploded. The stadium shook. Titles changed hands. But through it all, a quiet absence haunted the night like a ghost. No Seth Rollins. No visionary entrance. No flaming robes. No championship defense, just silence, and as CM Punk stood victorious in the main event, raising the newly vacated World Heavyweight Championship above his head, even he looked conflicted. Because deep down, everyone in the arena knew, this wasn't how the story was meant to end. Not for Seth Rollins, this was supposed to be his night. Instead, it became his wake. But the truth is, while Seth wasn't in the building, his shadow was everywhere, from the opening package, which featured flashes of his past title reigns, to the impromptu tribute video aired midway through the show, one that left more than a few fans in tears. WWE made sure that everyone knew, this wasn't a burial. This was a bookmark. And backstage? The locker room felt it even more. Sources say Triple H and Shawn Michaels personally called Rollins the day before the event, not just to give updates on the card, but to tell him directly, this night is still yours. Even if you're not in the ring. Seth reportedly watched from home, his knee propped up, surrounded by ice packs, family, and uncertainty. He didn't tweet. He didn't post. He didn't make a statement, but he watched. And when CM Punk was crowned champion, on the very night that was meant to be Rollins' coronation or collision, he simply stood up, walked outside with crutches, and stared at the California night sky. That silence, it said everything. And now, days later, the world is still talking, because on the Monday following SummerSlam, WWE finally confirmed what many feared. Seth Rollins has a fractured tibial plateau and torn MCL. The injury is severe. Recovery will be slow. Estimated timeout, 9 months. 9 months. Nearly a year. Gone just like that. A man who made his name by never slowing down, now being told to stop completely. For the first time since 2015, he will miss an entire stretch of WWE's biggest calendar year, from Survivor Series, to the Royal Rumble, to possibly even WrestleMania. The announcement hit the WWE Universe like a gut punch. The tributes returned. So did the speculation, would this be it? Would he hang it up? But those close to him tell a different story. One insider said, he's angry. Not defeated. Not broken. Just pissed off that he's on the sidelines. Another said, he's already talking return angles. Already watching tape. Already calling doctors for second opinions. That's who he is. Even in injury, Seth Rollins is planning his next move, because for him, the ring isn't a career, it's oxygen, and if he's not breathing it in, he's suffocating. But while Seth heals, others are beginning to rise. CM Punk has assumed the throne, but even he knows it comes with an asterisk. On Raw, Punk addressed the elephant in the room, I didn't beat Seth Rollins to get this. I walked into a room without the king, and was handed the crown. It was a moment of honesty. Rare. Real. And powerful. Then he added one more thing, I'm not running from Seth. I'm waiting for him. And with that, the seeds were planted. 9 months from now, Rollins could return. 9 months from now, the real main event could finally happen. 9 months from now. WrestleMania 41. Is that the long game? Sources inside WWE Creative say yes. According to a leaked report, the tentative plan is to hold off any major World Heavyweight Championship changes until at least Elimination Chamber. The goal? To keep the belt on Punk. To build suspense. And to wait, because if Seth Rollins returns, healthy, focused, and cleared in time, then April 2026 becomes the revenge story of a generation. Punk vs. Rollins, legacy versus legacy, fire versus fire, and this time? with nothing standing in their way. But until then, Seth waits, and as he waits, he works. Physical therapy has already begun. Slowly. Painfully. He's rehabbing under one of the top orthopedic teams in Los Angeles. Daily sessions. Private treatment. No distractions. Becky Lynch remains by his side, rescheduling her bookings to be home. Together, they've turned their home into a fortress of recovery. Treadmills. Rehab bands. Nutritionists. Mental performance coaches. It's not just about healing. It's about returning better than before, but it's also about facing demons, because as every athlete who's ever faced injury knows, the pain isn't just physical. It's the voice in your head at 3 a.m. It's the fear that your body won't respond the way it used to, that the crowd will forget, that time will move on, and that when you return, the ring may no longer be yours. That fear haunts Seth now. He's human, but if anyone can beat it, it's him, because Seth Rollins didn't build his career on hype. He built it on war, and he's not done fighting yet. Behind the scenes, WWE has also begun working on a new mini-documentary, tentatively titled The Architect Rebuilt, chronicling his rehab process, the road to recovery, and the emotional toll of being sidelined. It's expected to premiere on Peacock later this fall. But it's more than content, it's a signal that WWE isn't done with Seth Rollins, and neither are we, because some stories end with gold. Others end with silence, but this one will end with fire. The question is no longer if Seth Rollins will return. It's when, and when he does, will the man who walks down that ramp be the same, or will he be something even more dangerous, a warrior with nothing left to lose, and everything left to prove? The night is WrestleMania 41. April 2026. The stadium is packed. The lights, the noise, the history, all of it converges on this one night. And yet, beneath all the grandeur, a quiet tension hums through the crowd. Not because of who's in the ring, but because of who isn't. CM Punk is there.